Thank you for joining the Agent Locator Automated Lead Gen webinar. So this webinar is for those of you that are on our automated system, so you have a site that looks consistent of this. Obviously, it might slightly differ based on logos and colors and images, but essentially this is the site that this webinar is based off of. Now, for those of you that are running lead generation and need just a quick briefing on how that all works, what we're doing is we're managing ads on Google, targeting those buyers that are going and searching for real estate. So they might type in, homes for sale in, and then a specific area, or real estate listings in, and so on. So for this example, I'll do real estate listings, Toronto. So I am in an incognito window, so my results sometimes differ than what would actually happen on a non-incognito browser. So let me just quickly jump to another browser so that you can see that. So real estate listings. Okay, we'll do Mississauga this time. So these ads that you're seeing at the top of the search results and at the bottom are your pay-per-click. So you're paying to be on the first page, you're paying to be at the top of the search results. So anyone that then clicks on your ad is going to be brought into your website. Now, when they come into your website, we'll go over that. But just to reassure you, you will not always be on page one, not because Google's not nice. It is all reflective of your ad spend. So if you continuously see the same ad always on the first page, that's likely because they have a really hefty budget within Google. So Google is doing its best to make sure that they're going to make the most off of that person by ensuring that ad's getting clicked. So Google does post-bill based on your clicks. So you have your budget, and Google bills you based on that budget. So they only get paid if your ad is getting clicked. So regardless of how much you're spending, Google is going to do its very best through their algorithms to ensure that your ad is getting clicked. So not only are you getting the traffic and the leads, but Google's getting paid, and I can 100% reassure you that Google wants to get paid regardless of how much money, whether it's $50 or $50,000. So when they click on your ad, so let's just use Mississauga, for example. If this was one of your ads, they would click on it, and they would actually land on a page within this website that's already filtered to the listings in that area. So you're giving your lead exactly what they're looking for, which is the listings. Now, of course, your information is on these websites. It's not the focus because these leads aren't looking for realtors, they're looking for the realtors listings. Your info is on the contact page, as well as you can find it in the footer. Now, when a lead goes to look at listings and then they land on here, of course, they can refine their search a little bit further. So if I wanted to, set a max price, let's say of $750,000, I can do that. And maybe if I only wanted townhouses, I can do that. So now it's going to show me as the user the listings that match that criteria. Now, as a user, definitely I'm going to want to look at a listing. So when I go to click on it, that's when the system's going to require that your lead creates an account. Now, by creating an account on here, they are agreeing to receive listing alerts, as well as they are accepting your terms of use and privacy policy, which clearly indicate that your lead agrees to be contacted by both phone and email. So I am going to create an account on here. So Crystal, I am just going to create a fun email. So cost23@topaz.ca. I'm going to Crystal demo and my phone number. Now, as I'm registering on here, the agent yourself, you are getting a notification that you received a lead. So my phone just dinged in my ear. I don't know if any of you heard that, but it just dinged, indicating I got a text notification letting me know that I received a lead. So yes, it's that fast. It's in real time that you get those notifications. You also will get an email notifying you of that new lead as well. That email will contain a link right into the lead. So right here you see the new lead registration. going to let you know you have the option to view this lead in the CRM. Now, if you are on your mobile phone, you can still access the CRM. It is fully mobile responsive, so you can still complete your actions or dial your lead through the dialer, which we'll get to right from this email. Now, at the very same time you are getting this email, your lead, which is coincidentally myself, has already got an account activation email from you. So simultaneously, you're getting an email notification and a text. The lead itself is also getting an email from you as well. Now, as the lead is on here, the system is going to track their activity. So all the pictures that they're looking at with respect to those listings, it's also going to count how many times they look at a listing as well. So if I want to look back at this listing again, we're going to go over all these things in the system as well. And then I'm going to go look at another property just so that you can see what happens. So viewing this, and I'm just going to scour through a bunch of photos here. Now, in the CRM system, I am just going to clear this. And right away, you can see that the lead has been created in the CRM system. Now, the email itself has already been marked as valid. So the reason why this email is marked as valid is because that account activation email that was sent out hit a destination, meaning it wasn't rejected. Now, if it didn't hit a destination, it was rejected, you're going to see this invalid. It's going to be red. So whenever you see that on an email, I encourage you 100% to do a quick check to see if there's anything obvious about that email as to why it might be invalid. So sometimes I've seen people miss a letter in their name, or they've got one too many that doesn't seem like it makes sense. Or they spell their last name, same idea, they miss an L in something that should probably have two L's based on how they filled out their name. You'll see .con with an N instead of .com. Simple things like that. So if you notice right away that this may be obvious, what you do is you just click on your lead. So you click on the lead to open it. And then if it's obvious, you just hit this little edit button. So then you can edit the email. Same with the phone number. You can edit it this way. This protects you from accidentally updating contact information when you didn't intend to. The lead's name and last name you can change without hitting an edit button of any sort. Now, as that lead registered, the system has tracked their activity. So it's letting me know that this lead has looked at 2 listings, which to a town like townhomes, and the price points of those properties. Now, if I want to look at the more details here, this is where it's going to give you a little bit more information. So if you recall, I looked at this property 2 times, and it's going to show you that I looked at 20 photos. This one here, I looked at 22 photos because I was looking at that big slideshow of several photos at once. And it tells you when they were last active, looking at that listing. If this heart is highlighted, that means they favorited that property. Now, on the side here, you're going to see some general averages. So you have the number of properties viewed, the average price of those homes combined, the average bedrooms, bathrooms, the property types that they've been looking at, and the locations, including the communities, depending on the board that you're with. In there, you can also view these on a map. So this gives you a good foundation of information when you're initially reaching out to one of your leads. So I'm just going to close this off. Now that lead that registered is going to be automatically set up to receive daily listing alerts from you. So if you recall the pop-up when they had to register, they were signing up for listing alerts. So that's exactly what we've done. The system has done it for you automatically. Now, the criteria of the listings that are going to be sent are reflective of the listings that the lead has looked at. So it's either reflective of the very first listing or the first 2 listings. Just really depends on how long they've stuck on that first listing for. Now, if you notice a big difference in the price point, spend 30 seconds at most just adjusting the price point of the listings. Keep in mind that these leads aren't going to necessarily wave their hands asking for help. You need to do it. They're just going to go back online and search for something else. So just take that 30 seconds if necessary to adjust that criteria. Now, how you update this search is simply going edit. So you'll see here the price points and the location. So if you're talking to somebody, you're getting more information, you're definitely able to refine that search to be more reflective of the home that they're searching for. So let's pretend this person here, they wanted to have Mississauga, and they also wanted an area called Milton. So you just start typing that area and you add that city in. Maybe this lead was also in addition to a townhouse. Maybe in this case, they were also looking for a semi-detached. They were okay with a semi-detached or a townhouse after my conversation with them. And price point is good. And maybe these people, I want to add filter items. So depending on the board that you're with us, will be kind of determine how many filters that you have available to you. And so you can go in there. So maybe this person said, I need a three plus bedroom, at least 3 bedrooms. So in this middle section here, you'll see 2 things. This is equal, and then this is equal to or greater than. So this one here, if you use equal, so maybe this person said, I need a 3 or 4 bedroom. That's it. I don't need no 5 or 6 bedroom house, just 3 or 4 bedrooms. If that person said, I just need at least 3 bedrooms, they're open to anything up 3 or above, then you would use the equal to or greater than, and then just select 3. So once you've kind of gone through and you've added or adjusted your filters, you're going to hit apply. When you apply this filter, this is the results of all the listings that match that criteria. If you're satisfied with those results, or if you feel like you need to refine it further, you just add more filters, hit apply again, see what the results are. Once you're satisfied, you're going to hit update. This update is what's saving it. So consider the update button as it would say save. So update is your save feature. Now, when your lead registers, they're going to register and they're receiving listings once a day, typically at the time they registered at. So you're able to actually adjust the time the listings are being sent out, as well as the frequency. So by default, once a day at the time, again, you just click on the phone number or the phone number at the time, and you can adjust it up or down, and then the scheduler. So by default, again, once a day, all the way up to 3 times a day, and all the way down to once a month. Now, in most cases, I wouldn't encourage you down to once a month because that's only 12 touches a year. And for a prospective buyer, that's not enough. We all get bombarded with so many emails that the chances of them looking at one of those 12 is significantly decreased. So if you're talking to a lead perhaps and they have a timeline of 1 year or maybe a 2-year timeline, then you can ask them. You say, can my system, it's going to automatically send you listings once a day. Now, I understand you aren't looking to move right away and I don't want to feel like I'm spamming you. Is that okay? Or would you prefer it to go back down to once a week that you get those listings just to keep you posted? Or even I can scale it back to once every other week. So again, adjust it as you see fit, or if you have the high buyer that is very active, needs to purchase ASAP, or where and what they're looking for is typically, sells fast, you probably want the system to check several times a day if there's any new listings that match that person's criteria that would be sent off to them. So for example, if I had one at 7 a.m., the system would check at 7 a.m. and send off any new listings that match that criteria. If I had one then at 12 p.m., like 12 noon, it would then check the system again to see if there's any new listings and send it off to them, and so on and so forth. And once again, if you update this, you're going to, again, hit update to save it. Now, if you're talking to your lead, you probably wouldn't want them to wait for those listings. So you can see it'll tell you when the next push is supposed to happen, which would be essentially this afternoon. But if you don't want them to wait, what you do is you just hit this forced execution button and go yes. So that's this little like refresh looking button there. So now the listings have been sent. So if I go to my inbox, because I'm the lead, needless to say, I am just going to, come on, come through. It is taking its sweet time. Let me just make sure that I actually did hit that. Let me just go in here. It might still be being sent. So it has been delivered. And maybe it's in my spam. And I just want to make sure. Okay, so now the listing email is in here. It took a second for Google to figure that out. So once I've got it in here, now what's great about our system is that it's going to continuously track what your leads are doing with the listings. So I'm going to look at a couple listings here just to kind of look through things to show you how that all works. So once I go in here, this one only has 2 photos, it looks like, so nothing major. And then maybe I'm going to check out this one as well, just to show you guys some activity and how that all works. So if I go back here and refresh it, it's going to let you know that I've now looked at a total of 4 properties, and you can see I was active just now. So you'll see here the additional 2 properties that I just looked at, how many times I looked at them, the photos, and then these are the older listings. All the averages and property type and locations update with every single listing your lead looks at. Now you can filter your leads based on this. So if you want to pull up all your leads that were active today, you can do that. Or if you want to pull all the leads that were active in the last 7 days or the last 30 days, you have that ability to do that. So that's one of the key advantages, is that visibility, so that you're following up with those that are more likely to transact rather than chasing around people that aren't actually engaging in any kind of communication you're offering. Now you'll see here in this email tab that because I actually engaged in that email, it says clicked. I clicked on it. So it has 3 columns here. So the created is the date that this was created. So that was essentially when it was sent. And then here it gives you the actual time that the status changed. So it went from being delivered to clicked 1 minute later, essentially, from that delivery time. So that's a cool feature to see how long, like some people may get your email, a week ago, and then today clicked on it and looked at your listing. So that's kind of a cool feature there. Now, so the things the system is going to do for you, that lead registers, they get this email from you at the same time you're getting an email notification about your lead. You also know that they're set up to receive daily listing alerts from you. Now, the other part of the automation is the auto text. And this is where Twilio is super beneficial for you. So if you're considering or, trying to save some money, the cost is very minimal for what it actually allows you to do. I 100% use my Twilio day in and day out. I do not hand out my direct number. There is a select, it's in my email signature, but if I'm talking to somebody or leaving a client a voicemail, it's always my Twilio for a various number of reasons, which I'll explain. So here, the text message that goes out essentially goes out 5 minutes after your lead registers. So it helps to pick up the pieces when you may not be in a position to do it yourself. You're busy with clients, you're spending time with family, or you're sleeping, or you're out on inspections, things like that. Now, please note this does have sleeping hours, so if a lead does register after 10 or 9 p.m., I believe it is, it will not send the text message until the following morning. So it doesn't seem like you're a weirdo up at 2 o'clock in the morning texting your leads while they're sleeping. And then especially if someone gave somebody else's phone number, they're not going to be very happy with you. So this one here basically just thanks them for registering on your website, lets them know that you're going to start sending them daily listing alerts to their email, so it encourages them to check their email, and then it asks them a question about their search criteria. Now this criteria is reflective of all the listings they looked at up until this text message went out. So it will change in this text message based on what they're currently receiving in here. So sometimes if they, some people look at a lot of listings within 5 minutes. This will differ in some cases, like quite a bit from what they're actually set up to receive. Now, because this text message was delivered, it actually hit a phone destination. You're going to see here that the phone number has automatically been marked as valid. So it's changed to green. You're going to notice that the SMS message has been documented here in the lead stat section. as well as the pipeline has moved to try to contact, because you have now tried to contact that lead. Now, in a case where you see that this has failed, let's say there's a red triangle and it failed, a couple of things. So one, you're going to notice that the phone number is still going to be black, saying unknown, and the pipeline will still be on new lead. If it's obvious that the number is invalid, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it doesn't even have enough digits in it, you're going to click on this phone icon. You're going to click on it 2 times to mark that phone number as invalid. And why you're going to mark that number as invalid is because the next time that lead goes to look at listings you've sent them, the system is going to require that they provide a valid phone number before they can access that listing. So we know it's a valid phone number because a 4-digit code is going to be sent to their phone. And then they plug in that 4-digit code onto the website. So hands down, if the number is invalid, you're going to mark it as invalid. Now, another reason it might fail is because it's a landline. So when in doubt, always call your lead, especially if it looks like a legitimate number. Now, again, with invalid numbers, keeping in mind that people act very quickly, everyone seems to be in a rush these days. So it's common for people to make errors even just with the area code. Obviously, that's probably the only portion that you could deem to figure out if they've made a mistake, because I've seen 674 or 461 or 950 instead of 905, like things like that where they just mix up a couple of the first digits, or they miss the 4 in 416, so it's just 16. Things like that. So if it looks obvious, then just fix it and try sending off that text again. You can send off this text just by clicking here, and then you just global 1 response so that you can manually send that to your lead. Now, if your lead responds to this text message, you will get that text message on your phone. So let me just see if I can simulate that for you. So it'll come to your phone, so you can respond right from your phone. You don't have to log into the CRM system every single time to respond to a lead. You can respond from your phone. So just to kind of show you what that looks like, here, this is the text message coming from the system. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean about the response. So I use RingCentral. These are our main office lines. So if I go, hey, for example, that, and I'm going to refresh this so you're going to see it in here. So you're going to see here that I have now responded. Now the system, this should be on made contact, but because I'm using the same number here as I'm using for the account profile, so it's confusing the system a little bit. I'm basically talking to myself in here, so it's a little bit confusing. But in normal cases, the lead's response would actually be on this side, and the pipeline would change to made contact. Now, when they're coming to your phone, they're going to come directly from your, like in the same, so right from your Twilio number. So I've got Derek in here. I've got all my leads that send me text messages are in the same thread. Now, when you get a response from your lead, when you respond to it, basically, if I sent a message right now, even though Derek sent me this yesterday, my response right now would go to Derek. He would get that. He's the last person that sent me a message. So you don't have to worry about who to send it to. Now, in a case where maybe you receive several texts within a short span of time, Twilio is going to tell you to add a hashtag and the lead ID with a space before your message. So if I wanted to send a message to Sheldon here, I'm doing a hashtag, his ID, a space, and then message goes here. So I can actually, even though Twilio hasn't told me, but if I'm on my phone and I wanted to send a message to this client of mine, I can. But in most cases, you're just going to respond to the lead that just responded back to you. But you can do it right from your phone. Now, if your lead doesn't respond to you and it's the following day, and you still, after trying to call them, which we'll go over, your pipeline is still on try to contact, meaning you have not made contact with that lead. The following day, another text is going to go out. So it's a global second response. So this text message essentially, and I'll just send it so you can see it a little bit different. So this message is basically just letting the lead know that you've sent them some listings, to let you know what you think of them and if you have any questions. So it's just a really soft approach, trying to, again, get your lead to respond. We're not trying to be invasive. We're not trying to sell them anything. We're letting them know that we're here and we're helping them. Let us know if we can help you. So those are the things that are automated. So just to kind of recap, your lead is going to register on your site. You and the lead both get a notification email with respect, like simultaneously. The lead's email is going to be marked as valid right away if that email goes through. The lead is also going to be automatically set up to receive listings from you, and then 5 minutes after they register, they get that initial text, which some leads will respond, some leads will not respond. Now, the first action you're going to take on any lead is calling them. So hands down, you have to call your leads. I don't know any of you that have ever purchased a $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million product through text messages or emails. Like, I know I wouldn't. So I wouldn't expect any lead or client to do that. People want to know that they're being taken care of and that you're there to help. So the best way, hands down, to call your leads is going to be through the dialer. So to dial a lead, you just click on the phone number. This is the same idea when you are on your mobile device. If you open it up from the email, you again just click the phone number and then hit dial lead. So this is going to open up the dialer window. It's going to give you your lead's name and their phone number. Now, if you are talking to a lead and they say, hey, can you give my wife a call? She's actually doing this. You can actually edit that phone number so it still logs the call under that individual. It's also going to display your Twilio number. So if you're giving it to somebody, you have it right in front of you. You're not going to forget it. Now, you have different aspects of the dialer. So to initiate a call in the dialer, you're just hitting the green button. It's going to let you know it's been connected and the timer has started. Now we're going to hang up that call, so the red button to disconnect. Now, before we save and continue, we want to log our call results. So a couple things are going to happen again automatically for you depending on how you log your call. So no message left, lead is not there, or left voicemail. We do not encourage you to leave voicemails unless you've previously spoken to a lead, just as an FYI comment. So if you log your call as either of those, your pipeline, if already on try to contact, will stay on try to contact. If it was a new lead, it will move to try to contact from that point. Now, if you log a call that you talked to the lead, or the lead called you back on your Twilio, your cell phone's going to ring no differently than somebody having your direct line, just as an FYI. But if they call you back, the pipeline is going to automatically switch to make contact, because now you've made contact with that lead. If you log your call as a wrong number, it's going to automatically mark that number as invalid. So you don't even have to go back there and change it. It's going to do it for you. So let's pretend we talk to the lead. Now, anytime you talk to a lead, you want to leave notes. Hands down, you have to leave notes. Descriptive notes. None of this one-liners. They're not ready yet. They're just looking for the time being. That is a very mediocre note that is useless to you. There's no point in even making it, because there's way more information and context that goes with a comment like that. It's your job to pull off the layers to determine what does that comment actually mean. Why are they just looking? What has to happen within why they're looking next year? Are they saving for a down payment? Are they fixing credit? Are they waiting for kids to graduate? Are they doing repairs around their home? There's so much. It's a loaded comment when someone says, I'm just looking. So trying to pull off the layers and then write your notes as if you're writing it for a colleague to look at. That way, if you have to rely on that note in 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now, it's going to completely make sense to you. That single line note makes sense in the moment because you remember all the details in your head. But let me tell you, down the road, talking from experience, it will make no sense at all. And you won't remember. And you'll be talking to that lead as if you've never spoken to them before. So the more information you document, the better conversations you're going to have with your lead in the future, because you're going to be able to recap conversations that you had, or if they mentioned they had a dog or a daughter because they're going to wherever, make a note of that so you can bring it up in future conversations and build a relationship rather than just a sales pitch. So I'm going to log this call as a talk to lead. Now, a couple things you're going to notice here as I refresh this. So one, the pipeline has now switched to made contact, because now I've talked to lead, I have made contact with them. We're also going to see here that there's a call logged. So the lead stat section in general is really keeping track of everything. So it keeps track of when your lead registered, when they were last contacted, and how they've been contacted. So when it's the calls and SMS, this accounts for incoming communications as well. So not just the outgoing. And you want to log your call because you're able to filter your leads based on the last point of conversation, last time you tried to call them, or the time you did make contact with that lead, because part of it is knowing when you last tried to call, so you know when you should be trying again. And if you're not logging your calls, you're keeping it all in your head and you're going to feel scrambled and overwhelmed and busier than you actually are. So logging your calls that way. Now, for some of you, you opt into not using Twilio, and that is your own decision. It does take you a lot longer to get through your call list when you are not using Twilio, just as another FYI, because you're doing it from a cell phone. Even if you're sending text, you have to copy your text into here so that you're saving yourself time. Again, it's full disclosure as to what's happening. And if you're not doing that, well, then you're having to jump from system to system, device to device, and it just takes you that much longer. So you can log your call in the notes and call section. So when that call is made through Twilio, you're able to see here that the call was logged and recorded. There's a playback. I can listen to the call if I want to. The call results, I can edit this, so if I wanted to add more notes, I can. It's also, you're going to see this is a call and this is a note. The system will only recognize the calls as calls. If you leave a call note as a note, it does not count as a call according to the system, and you cannot filter your leads based on that. So I just really like to reiterate that, because a lot of people log their calls as notes, and it just looks as if you're not reaching out to any of your leads. And it costs you time, which, you know, there isn't a lot of these days. So in this notes and call section, you're going to see there's two toggle buttons, a note and a call. So if you are opting in to make calls from your own devices or office phones, you can still log your calls. You can even backdate your call. So if this call happened, let's say a couple of days ago, I can backdate it and change the time if I wanted to, and still adjust my call result. So I'm just going to go talk to lead. I'm going to go like this. Now, because I backdated it, it's going to actually put that call down here. So even before the lead was created, we're seeing that call down here. You're also going to see that there's now 2 calls logged in this lead stats because there's 2 calls made. So that's the calling. Hands down, call your lead at your earliest opportunity to call them. The system is texting them 5 minutes after they register, so it helps to pick up the pieces. So don't sweat it if you can't call them right away. Just call them at your earliest opportunity to call them. Now, after any conversation with your lead, you should have enough information to add a tag / label to them. So the tagging and the labeling is really going to allow you to sort your database. So it's kind of like your grocery store organization, but for your leads. So for example, if you add a tag in here, first time buyer, which we do have in here, if I told you, hey, so-and-so, go through your 5,000 leads and show me who all your first time buyers are, you'd be able to do that within seconds because you have them all tagged. If you didn't have them all tagged and you had 5,000 leads and I went to go ask you to do that, you wouldn't be able to. So this is really just going to allow you to organize your database or direct specific marketing towards specific audiences based on tags they have or tags that they don't have. So I do have a sample tag list as well. So the sample tags are a great way to tag your leads based on how they communicate, different buyer loss scenarios that you will encounter, future opportunities, situations. I personally like adding a situation of homeowner that allows me to identify that this is a possible listing opportunity as well. You do have lender loss scenarios. Again, I like to add just a lender tag, pre-approved, needs pre-approval. They haven't yet hit this yet, and we're hoping that they don't. Seller loss, and then the miscellaneous really only would require the monitor for activity. You can use filters for the rest of them. So all of these, like all the future opportunities, for example, would all be the same color of tag. So when we're looking at here, the dot you would make them all the same color. And then they have these FOs or BLs in front of them. What that does is in here, all your situation tags, for example, are clustered together in the same color. So it's easy to identify and locate those tags. So you're not looking through a gigantic list trying to figure out where that first time buyer one is, as well as it helps to prevent duplicates, because if you're not doing things organized, you will, I guarantee you, have several duplicate tags that, you know, bad number, wrong number, exact same thing. Or investor / income producing property. Well, that's the same thing. So again, just organize. So basically to add a new tag, you would just go like this. So future opportunity, let's say, just looking. Just looking, a future opportunity is somebody that's looking, but they have intentions of moving within a year. Just looking 1+ is 1 or more years out. 2+ is 2 or more years out. So once you create your tag, you identify, you create a color for that tag, and then you confirm. So now we have the future opportunity, just looking. If I wanted to add this to that lead, I just select it and go done. So you're able to do that. Now on your lead as well, when you're calling them, your goal here is to just see where they're at in the process. Think of yourself as an amazing customer service representative, not a sales representative. People do not want to be sold to. They want to be taken care of. The byproduct of an amazing customer service rep is the sale. So focused on that. So if you're able to, one of the things that you're going to want to get from your lead is a timeline, potential timeline of when they want to move. So where you're going to add that into your lead is down here. So buying in, selling in. So you just select which one it is. So if I like say this one, he wants to buy in 3 to 6 months and they need to sell the next 3 months kind of thing. One of the big things, so what you can do is the magic wand question. So not everyone knows when they want to move. They're kind of looking and they do, but they don't, you know, they're kind of wishy-washy. We all kind of get like that. We kind of have an idea, but we're not saying it out loud. So one thing that you can ask your lead is the magic wand question. So the magic wand, what you do is you know, it's like, I understand, Susie, you know, it's hard to make a decision. This is a big move, right? It's a big decision in your life. But imagine this. You have a magic wand in your hand right now. Everything is perfect. All your ducks are in a row. Everything's smooth. You're good to do anything. If you were to wave that magic wand, when would you be in your new house? That's going to give you an approximate timeline. That's a goal timeline. Now, your follow-up question to the response is like, okay, Susie, so now what needs to happen to make that possible? That is a very loaded, open-ended question, which will result in some cases an earful of information that is only valuable to yourself. The more information you have on a lead, the more powerful you are, because you know exactly how to follow up with them and the level of follow-up required. Your leads are going to act in convenience. Keep that in mind. There is no loyalty. You need to build the loyalty. So the more you know, the better you can assist them. And again, customer service, not sales. So that's where you add that in here. Now, a couple other features in this dashboard I want to point out to you before I kind of move to the next part. One is this lead description. So this lead description spot is a great spot to put important information about that lead. So even like the important notes, the context of a call, and so on, because as you start doing, you can see here where we just kind of did a couple things, the important notes of your conversations are going to drop. So here it'll always be right in this one spot. So you don't have to go searching for your last notes. Another thing that you have in here is your tasks. So with your tasks, you want to try not to become task happy. A lot of people will create tasks for everything. And then what do? They don't complete their tasks. And then they have several tasks that are going overdue, and the important tasks that you should have done get lost in the mix of things. So try to limit your tasks to very time-specific tasks, such as, you know, so-and-so said to give you a call, they may call it 6. That's a time-specific task. You cannot use a filter for that. A lot of the tasks that I see being created, you can actually utilize filters to produce the results. Another task that you may want to create is if you are monitoring somebody's activity because you have or believe you have a 70% chance or greater of actually converting them. Then a task would be like, check to see if Crystal looked at the listings I sent her. That would just be more or less a reminder, because you're going to start having a bunch of leads in here where all they are is names, and it's very easy to forget who's who, and you want to make sure you don't forget those important ones in there. Now you do have your emails, which we kind of went over. Same idea with the email. You just click on an email address to send an email or compose an email. Your e-campaign, so this is something that I would look into down the road, but you do have the ability to add leads to campaigns or create campaigns for yourself. Now, one cool thing about the tasks is if you have a Google account or a G Suite account, you have the ability to sync your account with the CRM. And so if you sync your account with the CRM, what happens is if you create an account or a task in here, it's also going to add that as a calendar event in your Google Calendar as well. So it'll actually have a direct link right into that lead in addition to that. So you definitely won't forget about the task that you create for yourself. So to integrate with Google, you would just go up into the user preferences section up here, and then go to the integrations tab, and you just hit, it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to show you how to go about doing that. If you do feel like you need assistance with it, reach out to our support team, support at Agent Locator, but I am confident in all of you that you will be able to do that hands down. Now, so that is basically kind of an overview of this screen. Now I'm going to go back so that you're able to quickly see the information that we've updated in here now that we've done it. So right from this screen here, you're able to see your lead and their contact information, these little drop downs for both phone and email. You can change the validity right away. You're also able to see the tags that you have on your lead before you even open them. So you can predetermine if you should be reaching out to that person today based on tags that they have in the last point of contact or their timeline. You're also going to be able to see their pipeline right from here, which you can also manually change. Keep in note that the pipeline, anything after made contact, you would manually change the pipeline. And you will want to change it, because you're going to want to differentiate the people that you've tried to contact versus the people that you spoke to, versus the people that you've met in person, versus the people that you've got an agreement with, or you're showing properties to, or you're sold. How you deal with all of those people and the level of follow-up and nurturing that they need is all different, right? So just make sure that you do change those. It's also going to let you know when your lead registered, the site that they registered on. So if you have a couple sites with us, it's going to let you know. It's also going to let you know their location at the time of registration. So this is 99% accurate to the city that they're located in at that time. Now you recognize where I put the timeline in. You're able to see right here those timelines. You can filter your leads based on their buying in or selling in time frames. you're also able to see their last when they were last active. So the number next to the house is how many listings they've looked at, and then the next to the coin, this is how many searches you have currently set up for them, or how many searches the lead has set up for themselves. Now, the last point of contact, it does go into the number of calls, number of emails, number of text messages. Again, the incoming and outgoing are going to be accumulated for the text and the calls, and it's also going to give you a time of when that was last actioned or changed. Anything next to your tasks here, so anything that you have set up, anything next to the red is going to show here. There'd be like a number 1. Those are upcoming or overdue tasks. All your completed tasks will be showing next to the green check mark. So the easiest way to use the Agent Locator CRM is which leads to follow up with. So there's a lot of questions around that, and especially for some of you, you start to generate a high number of leads, and it's figuring out, oh my gosh, I have this wall of 200 people. Who am I going to call? So we can definitely help you create your filters if you need to. If you've already gone through any kind of training, chances are that they're already set up for you. So with these filters here, just to give you an idea, this is a great, so especially if a lead is calling you, let's say, it's just going to display their phone number. You don't know who's calling you. They may say, hey, I just missed a call from this number. You can search by the last 4 digits of their phone number, or let's say a portion of their phone number. So if I go 4406, we can see here that I've got a 4406 here, 4406, 4406, only because I've erased the last number in all of these. So it shows you all the leads that pop up with that phone number. You can search leads by first name or last name, portions or all of their email, and so on and so forth. So if you got those people calling you, definitely can do that. Now, another cool thing is that you can stack filters. So you can create very specific audiences based on a variety of different things. So you just stack your filters. Now you can also save your filters. So once you've got an audience, and I encourage all of you to go in here and play with the filters. Create audience. See exactly what happens when you do them, what's changing. And if you have any questions or need a specific audience created for you based on you just not sure how to go about doing, just reach out to us. So after you've created that audience, you're going to give it a name. So you can give it a name, whatever you want to call that for your own reference. And then you're either going to hit personal or company. If you create a personal filter, that means only you will ever have access to it. So sub-users, if you're like a member of a team and you've got a sub-account under your team leader, you'll only be able to create personal accounts, personal filters. But if you are the main account holder, then you can create personal or company. When you create it as a company, that means that everyone on your team has access to that filter you created. So depending on how you run your team, it's beneficial if you want them all doing the same thing you're doing with the leads. So I have created some, so kind of going through here, which leads you should be contacting. Now, again, you need to be calling all your leads. So the first filter we have is the number 1, new lead, 0 calls logged. So what this is doing is it's pulling up all your leads that have 0 calls on them. Now, because these are new leads, we only want leads where their pipeline is not set, new lead, or tried to contact, meaning we have not made contact or moved further through the pipeline with them. And because this is a call list, we only want people with valid numbers, or we don't know yet if it's a valid number because we haven't tried calling it. So those two, meaning we do not want invalid numbers in a call list. It's counterproductive. So here we have 30 leads basically in here. So how you would navigate from lead to lead, so I'm just going to open up the first lead here. So what you'll have is you'll have this navigation bar at the top. So when you're calling leads from the number 1 list, what you're going to do is call those leads. If they do not answer, let it hit voicemail, but you're not leaving a message. Your goal is to really just determine if the name on the voicemail matches the name of your lead. And if it doesn't, just make a note of it. Doesn't mean that that person, they don't share a number, or it's not a landline or something like that. but just kind of make a note of that if the voicemail doesn't match. So if you call and you make contact with them, you actually have that person's first name. Now, once you kind of get through that, so what you would do is you would dial this lead, call, let it hit voicemail, hang up, and then you would move to the next lead. So you have this toggle bar here. Your goal at the end of the day is to talk to as many people as possible and have those conversations with them. If you're spending it leaving voice messages for people that aren't going to call you back, all that's going to happen is you're going to get really great at leaving voice messages, and it's going to take you a lot longer to get through your call lists. For the first call, let it ring, hit voicemail, no answer, move on to the next kind of thing. So that's your first call list. So really at the end of the day, if you're doing lead gen, this number one list should always be at 0. There should be no leads in your database that you've never called. You want to call all of them. Now, it is common that when you call a lead the first time, second time, fifth time, they're just not answering. So we have a filter for that as well. So that's your number 2 need to contact filter. So same idea where their phone validity at this point is unknown or valid and we have not made contact with them or moved forward. But we're going to call those leads at least 8 times, but we're going to call them every other day. So they haven't been contacted by phone in 2 days. So with this filter, consistency is key. Okay, so you fill out this filter. It's going to tell you exactly who you need to be calling. And I'm just going to sort this here to go last contact call, show most recent first, because of course we're getting these 0 calls here because they haven't been contacted by phone in the last 2 days. So all these people showed up in the first call list. Once you start to clear out that call list, they will disappear from the second call list. So I'm just going to sort those to push anyone. So there's no one in here that actually has any calls logged on them. This is a testing or training account, needless to say. So with these individuals here, what you're going to do is, again, consistency is key. You just log in here every single day. Your calls should take you no more than 30 minutes, an hour at tops, and that's even speaking for somebody that has a lot of leads in their system to follow up with. Okay, so what you have is the 4-ring rule. So you click on your lead's name again, same idea. You go through the top. Now, when you call your lead and you dial that lead, 4 rings is roughly 23 seconds. So you're going to let it ring 4 times. If that lead does not answer the phone, you hang up and you move on to the next one. People who generally answer the phone within 4 rings are ready, willing, and wanting to talk on the phone. Overall, you're going to have better conversations with those leads. If every single time you let it hit voicemail, for one, it's going to take you a lot longer to get through your call lists. But 2, we also don't know what that person's doing on the other end as to why they're not answering their phone. So you might get some that reluctantly answer their phone, and your conversation isn't going to go as you had hoped it would. Now, people with 4 rings as well, some of them will call you back. Hey, I just missed a call from this number. So really, you can get 2 to 3 calls a minute doing the 4-ring rule. Because again, you don't want to be spending hours in your CRM every single day. You want to get in, get out, and go sell houses. So you get in, make your calls, get out. 4-ring rules. Again, should only take you 30 minutes. Like 15 leads, for example, should only take you at most 10 minutes. Obviously, if you have conversations, that's your goal. But your goal is to have those conversations. So if you're allocating 30 minutes and you only get 5 calls in because you had an amazing conversation with the lead, well, then that's great. So 4 rings, hang up, move on to the next. Now, in some cases, and again, this filter here, and that's where I'm saying like the consistency is key. So people these days, they'll all screen our calls. But the more often somebody calls us and they never actually leave a message, we start to recognize the phone number popping up on our phone, and we start to wonder who it is. And eventually, for many of us, the curiosity gets the best of us, and we end up answering the phone. So that's what you have to do. If you call these leads once, every 2 weeks or something like that, the consistency isn't there. It's going to be a lot harder to get that person to answer the phone. Now, in some cases, you will come across leads that after that 8 call, they have still not answered. And make sure when you're doing your calls, you call at all different times of the day. When you're doing your call, don't say I'm going to do my lead gen calls every day from 10 to 2 or 10 to whatever. Because if you're calling leads that they're always busy at that time because they have their own routine, you're never going to get that lead on the phone. So switch it up the time that you're calling. Whenever you have time to call your leads, just call your leads. So going in here, you then have those people where they may have more than 8 calls. Usually by the 8 calls every other day, that's 16 days. So that's 2 weeks of calling the lead. A lot of the time, you'll get a lot of those people on the phone eventually. But there's going to be some that don't. So those people there, we've just switched this around so that they've had 8 or more calls on them. And those people there, we're going to only call them once a week once they hit that point, but only if they were active within the last 30 days. So you only want to call those leads once a week if they're actively looking at listings. Other leads are not worth your time. They're not the ones that are going to transact. Let's put it that way. They might show back up in your list, and that's great, but you want to focus on those that are more likely to transact. Whether or not you can get a hold of them easily. Now, after you've made contact with the lead, the chase is over. You've finally spoken to them. But once you've made contact with them, it's about staying in contact. A lot of people go after the chase, and then they're like, oh, I don't know what to do from here. They're not ready to buy right now. Keeping in mind, I want you guys to have a good understanding of your leads. They all come in to look at listings for all different reasons. So we're all looking for the unicorn. The unicorns are the leads that come in that have been pre-approved and they want to go look at houses this weekend. Wouldn't we all want that? We'd all be realtors. Let's put it that way. You can definitely get those from, not from us, but they're going to be a lot more expensive of leads, I'll tell you that much. They're pre-scrubbed and ready to go. So you have here those number 4 made contact people. So these are all people where now you've made contact with them and they've been active in the last 30 days, but you haven't contacted them by phone or SMS in the last 10. So often enough, I'll create this filter for you guys. When I create it, I'll only include the phone. So if I change this, we've actually added a person there. So again, going back to convenience, your leads are going to act on convenience. So depending on their timeline and the situation, anyone that you've made contact with, you should be personally reaching out to them every 7 to 14 days. Now, of course, if somebody has a timeline, they've got a tag on them that they're just looking, they're a 2+ out, and you just spoke to them 21 days ago, don't need to reach out to them. You're obviously going to spread out your communications with them. But let's say this person here is like they're looking to buy in the next 3 to 6 months, and they're a hot person, they're an investor, and you haven't spoken in 21 days, yes, you better be reaching out. Again, being convenience, offering assistance, guidance, help, pointing them in the right direction. You're here to help. Keep that in mind. You don't want this lead to wind up with somebody else because, again, until you build that loyalty, you have to be convenient to get that loyalty. So this is where you're looking at the tags on your leads and the last point of communication with them. So a personal approach can be a simple text message, just saying, like, just checking in on them, like, hey, Crystal, just wanted to check in and make sure the listings are still, like, you're still getting the listings okay. Let me know if you need to make any changes or what have you. Or a personalized email catered to that person's situation, or a call. And the call could even result in a voice message, because if you've previously spoken to this person, you can leave them a message, and it could just be that you're checking in on them. Again, focus on that amazing customer service experience, because the byproduct of that is going to be the sale. For some people, that's easier to get a grasp of. Others, because some are very sales oriented, it's harder for them to do it. But just try to be customer service. Like, if you consider yourself sometime when it's hard, but sometimes maybe like Rogers or TELUS or whoever your phone from, like Verizon or whatnot, there's always that one time where you had an interaction with a customer service rep that just kind of like, they were really good at their job. And it resulted in you adding a service that you didn't even think you needed or wanted, but they didn't even really have to sell it to you, right? It was just like you felt like you're really taken care of, and you just all of a sudden become more willing, and you're not, like, at first time they call you, your wall is completely up. You're like, I don't want any whatever it is you're trying to sell me. And then the more they talk to you and the more they reassure you and that they're there and they're making this for you and they're helping you with this, and then they kind of go back to that original option, you're a little bit more willing to go with it. You don't even know how you ended up buying it in the first place. So one of those kind of like interactions, because once you are more customer service oriented, your leads walls will drop. They're going to be more responsive to you. So when you are sending those touch base emails, texts, phone calls, they're going to answer or respond. And you're just going to have overall better communication with them, hands down. So try to focus on that. So that is really the CRM training when it comes to lead gen. There is a lot of tools in here that you can take advantage of. One thing I do want to point out to you is actually two things. So one is this little heart. We do email all of you when we have updates to the system, but this will flash when there's any updates, so you can check those out, kind of like pulses. You then have this little question mark up at the top here. So this question mark is actually little how-tos to understand your system and various things available to you. Now, this will change depending on the page that you're in. So if I go into user preferences right now, for example, if I go into and then select on the help option here, you're going to see, like, you know, it's all about the profile. There's the instructions on how to integrate your Google if you need help with that. So a lot of different features in here. So it will change, giving you instructions depending on the page that you're on. And then if you do need something outside of what's showing in there because it's just not there, we are continuously updating it, just reach out to our support team and we'll put together a video specifically for you, or find someone that's a video that's somewhere else in our database to shoot off to you. But thanks for watching. Happy lead genning. And if you have any questions or require further assistance, just reach out to our support team, support@agentlocator.ca.